Watch yourselves! Bloody leech!
can't believe I'm doing this.
Distribute flowers. Joe, please, I don't have your money. Fancy buying something, sir?
You never lose your focus, do you? Right then.
Fancy buying something, sir?
You never lose your focus, do you? Do you need help, sir?
To be honest, I'd prefer you take a look at my stuff. I'd rather be rich and sick than the contrary.
I don't quite agree, but I won't argue with you. Please, take this. You'll feel better.
Really? Free? Don't take it personally, but charity usually comes at a price. Human nature being what it is.
Goodbye for now, Mr. Lewis.
You again? What do you want this time?
Can I offer you my medical expertise, Mr. Peterson?
Keep your medicines for others.
There is a thin line between pride and stupidity, sir. Please take this medication. You'll feel better.
All right. I'll take it then. It's not like I don't appreciate the gesture.
Goodbye, Mr. Peterson.
It's hard to believe, but this district has always been wretched. Now let your guard down, sir.
Good evening, Mr. Whitaker.
It's Father Whitaker, my son. So, are you still lost in your rational delusions?
Don't you fear getting sick yourself?
Faith gives me all I need, my son. If I must fall, then so be it.
No doubt your faith will prevail, but let me give you some extra protection against the devil's work. Medicine.
Blessed be your generosity, my son.
Tell me the reason why you despise Joseph Larrabee so much, Tobias.
A faithless shepherd is the worst criminal, for he leads his flock to the abyss by disregarding the right path. God smote this man, for he doubted.
I only met him briefly, but he seemed a dedicated man who tried to provide guidance.
Do you not believe in punishment, my son? I am not talking about the law of men. I am talking about judgment from heaven.
I believe that we are, as men, our own judges, juries, and executioners.
Armageddon is upon us, Dr. Reed. The final battle where every soul will be weighed. I'm afraid yours will burn for a long time.
Your disciple, Samuel, stole from the dead in Stonebridge Cemetery. I have proof of his crime, and proof of his death.
No! Samuel was the best of us. So devoted, so zealous. He gave all he had for the cause. He tirelessly preached the good word.
He defiled the dead with his petty thefts. That's how he financed your misguided crusade.
Think what you will. When this city is saved, he will be praised for his devoted fortitude. He walked boldly into the mouth of abomination.
Your precious Samuel used you. He was an immoral crook.
If that's true, then he will be my burden to bear during this endless night.
I have heard enough for tonight. Goodbye.
Bloody crime! Die, vermin!
What news, Jonathan? I've heard you've...
Did Elizabeth tell you?
So it's Elizabeth now. My. Things are moving quickly. I turn my back for a moment, and away you go.
Have you seen Lady Ashbury recently?
Yes, she popped in yesterday. Told me about your new friends in the West End.
Just a courtesy visit, then?
Yes. And no. She was en route to the docks, I think, following a lead concerning your maker.
How's the situation at the Pembroke?
We're still holding out. Question is, for how long? What we really need is hope, Jonathan. Hope for a better tomorrow.
I may have found the source of the contagion. Doris Fletcher, the actress. Thankfully, in the end, she was destroyed by fire.
Really? Oh, please, do tell me more.
Doris was a heavily mutated Skal. Almost a new breed entirely. It's as if the disease had completely altered her mind and body. Highly contagious.
As if the disease had taken control of her will?
Yes. Once a beautiful and brilliant woman, she became motivated by hate alone.
Oh, she was a beauty. I met her when she visited the hospital to cheer up the sick. Too bad the fire destroyed her. But it was probably for the best.
Have you heard of similar cases?
No, I don't think so. Except, perhaps, it reminds me of an old report from the Brotherhood. Well, more an article, really.
What was it about?
The author, a friar, referred to a rare form of contagion in a Skal he observed during the Black Death. The carrier was always female. They called them Icors.
I'll come back later.
Always a pleasure.
Good evening, Nurse Hawkins.
Good evening, Dr. Reed.
Do you need medical help yourself, Nurse?
I'm afraid I've contracted some illness, Dr. Reed.
Not under my watch, Nurse. Take this. You'll feel better.
Thank you, Dr. Reed.
Goodbye, Nurse Hawkins. It's locked, all right. It's locked.
We have no reason to be here. I have not survived being buried in a mass grave for these trivialities.
We are not in the middle of a battlefield anymore. Things are different here.
Hello again, Mr. Blight.
Good evening, Dr. Reed. You doing your rounds as usual?
Are you concerned about the living conditions in the city?
Of course I am. I'll be stuck here for as long as Oswald refuses to go to hospital. And, unfortunately, it seems the violence is rising.
What kind of violence?
I believe people have armed themselves and started to attack those that show signs of contagion.
Goodbye, Mr. Blight. Hello again.
Good evening, Doc.
Do you need medical attention, sir?
Afraid so. In the war, I was always worried about picking up something, getting some infection. Unfortunately, I've got that fear in London now.
Throughout history, some diseases have done more damage to armies than any weapon created by man. You were wise to be careful.
You're working at the Pembroke Hospital, aren't you? That's a good enough reason for me and Oswald to go there.
You and Oswald were buried alive during the war. Tell me about it.
Yeah. It was last summer. A shell hit our trench and we were buried for a week.
Goodbye, Mr. Blight. Take care of yourself. Good evening, old chap. Are you all right?
I won't lie to you, Johnny. I'm not a well man.
Do you realize you are ruining your family, Clarence? Don't you see the risk here?
Money isn't important. Not important when it is a matter of life and death. That is what my dear Venus cannot understand.
People will laugh at you, if they don't already. Think about your wife and your position. Think about your future.
I understand my wife's embarrassment, but gossips don't kill, vampires do. There'll be no future if people don't open their eyes.
I can't believe I'm telling you this, but if warning people is that important to you, why not choose a more efficient way to spend your money?
Don't you think I tried? I knocked at every door, went to every bank, I even tried to be published. No, Jonathan. This is a one-man war.
Clarence, why have you distributed leaflets about vampires all across the West End?
I have to warn everybody about them. They've killed thousands of people already, unnoticed thanks to the epidemic. We are all in danger here.
Vampires in London? Come on, Clarence. Who's going to believe that?
I'm not mad, Jonathan. You have to believe me. I know they are real. They're all around us, even as we speak.
Clarence, I'm your friend, so I'm not going to judge you. But think about your wife, your family. You're in pain, and you need help. I can help you.
I don't need a doctor, Jonathan. I need my best friend to trust me.
Tell me what you have discovered about vampires, Clarence.
They've always been here. And if you search for long enough, you realize others know about these devils too. I'm not alone.
Have you shared your research with anybody else?
No. But I've published my leaflets all across the city, hoping that someday someone will realize I'm printing the truth.
What do you mean you're not alone? Who have you met?
The Guard of Prewin, the Brotherhood of St. Paul Stole, Ichabod Throgmorton. Those names always pop up when you dig deep enough.
Have you spoken with any of them?
No. With the quarantine, it's almost impossible to leave the West End. But as a doctor, maybe you could, Johnny.
Are you asking me to help you prove the existence of vampires, Clarence?
Yes, Johnny. Please, gather all the information you can find about vampires and bring it to me. You're the only friend I have left. I need you.
These are the documents you wanted me to look for. I think I've gathered all the available occult research about vampires.
Oh, thank you, Johnny. That'll help me separate the myths from the facts.
I'm not sure you can consider this material factual, but it's yours now. What do you intend to do with it?
First, I'm going to show them to Venus. It'll open her eyes and make her understand the importance of my mission.
You need some rest, Clarence. You should try to sleep.
For as long as I've been a member, I've never seen so few vampires attending the club nights.
Elizabeth, what are you doing here?
I've been formally asked to witness your triumph, my dear. After all, isn't it the natural role of a woman to support her man in victory?
But it's you who insisted I join the Ascalon.
Please forgive my giddiness. I'm just overcome by the thrill of finally being allowed within these hallowed halls.
You certainly have an inquisitive mind. It's quite something. Elizabeth Ashbury, only you can make me smile in these difficult times.
And the same to you, Jonathan Reed. Now go have your little chat with the chairman. I can see he's practically bursting to hear your report.
I must admit the Guard of Priwen impressed me. They must have spent years preparing their plan.
Good evening, Dr. Reed. Have a drink and enjoy this night, for it could be our last. Perhaps we should change some of the club's rules if we survive all of this. We need to soften some of our laws concerning redheads.
Welcome back to the Ascalon Club, Lancebearer. Please, tell us the good news. Have you put an end to the epidemic?
My hypothesis was correct. Doris Fletcher was the source of the contagion in this part of town. She was probably the first to be infected.
And you cleansed her before the hunters, I've been told. Well done, Dr. Reed. You thrust your lance and pierced the very heart of the corruption.
But some questions remain.
The important thing is, we won a major battle for the survival of London. For that, we salute you.
Thank you, my lord.
Now, I have another task for you. One of the utmost importance. Perhaps even more so than the previous.
I'm listening.
It's time for you to perform a most sacred duty for the club. I want you to recruit a new vampire.
Recruit a new vampire? Are you sending me on some sort of diplomatic mission?
Not exactly. I want you to make Aloysius Dawson the Ekon he deserves to be.
I'm not sure I'm the best candidate for such a task.
I can hear the hesitation in your voice, Dr. Reed. I admire a man of principles. But in this matter, there is more at stake than your moral comfort.
It's not a moral question, Lord Redgrave. It's the responsibility of giving immortality to a man I barely know.
Nonsense. Aloysius has been a member of the Ascalon for years. This is but the fruition of a long-held plan.
How would you like me to proceed?
Aloysius is waiting for you at the Dawson estate. Once the deed is done, I'll join you there to celebrate this momentous occasion.
Before I go, I have a few questions.
All right, I'm listening.
Why Aloysius Dawson?
Because he is about to die. and he just may be the most influential man in England. After me, of course.
Did he choose me?
No, I did. My decision is very recent, to say the least, but it is entirely mine.
Does he know I'm coming?
He can't wait to become your progeny, Dr. Reed. Especially now that you have shown how strong your lineage is through your sister.
You invited Lady Ashbury. Wouldn't that be breaking one of your cardinal rules? No women allowed.
Not allowed as members, no. But considering the circumstances, I thought you'd like to have her here to witness your triumph.
So it's a temporary admittance, then?
Something of a bargain, considering the crisis we're currently facing.
How would you like me to proceed?
Don't worry. Aloysius has had many years to prepare himself. He has studied our kind for decades.
So shall I just let him drink my blood?
Yes. Aloysius will gratefully sup on your blood. His heart will slow, then stop. But he will rise again as one of us, an immortal.
Is there any danger?
Our blood alters a mortal body so deeply that some don't survive the metamorphosis. They die for good. But Mr. Dawson has been preparing himself for a long time.
Goodbye, Lord Redgrave.
I personally went patrolling last night in the West End, and I spotted at least 2 foreign Ekons. This is an outrage. We shall chase these intruders down.
Are you all right, Jonathan?
Lord Redgrave has just ordered me to turn Aloysius Dawson, to make him my progeny.
I see. And how do you feel about this?
I'd like your advice on the matter.
The real question here is, why has his lordship given you this task?
Do you think it's some sort of trap?
Do you really want to know what I think about this?
I do, yes.
To make an immortal of a soulless blackguard like Aloysius Dawson will only lead to a disaster for London. The man is already dead inside.
Should I refuse? Perhaps politely suggest that Lord Redgrave turn the man into a vampire himself.
Don't you dare, my dear. According to what I've recently discovered, his lordship could kill you for even broaching the subject.
Really? Why?
I've recently found proof that the Earl of Bristol is of lesser lineage and only capable of creating skulls.
Please tell me more about your recent investigation.
As long as you lower your voice.
What would you have me do about Dawson?
The man is dangerous. Did you know he plans to build a wall to separate the healthy rich from the sickly poor? Do not make him your progeny.
What would you do?
The man's dying already. Let the Reaper harvest the rotten fruit that is his soul.
What would happen if I made Dawson an Ekon like myself?
You would add a powerful immortal into a suffering world. An immortal who already craves authority.
Maybe I could teach him control, like you taught me. Lead him down the right path.
Mr. Dawson spent his life searching for a way to cheat death. I'm sure he has spent decades dreaming of how he'd spend eternity as a tyrant.
Are you sure your information about Redgrave is correct? He says he's the progeny of the great knight William Marshall, who lived some 9 centuries ago.
That's a lie. Lord Redgrave is unable to create anything but skulls, if the poor souls survive at all.
How can you be sure the information was correct?
I made the acquaintance of a most interesting informer while investigating your maker, from whom I learned the truth about Lord Redgrave.
Why so vindictive? You suddenly sound like you're angry.
Forgive me, Jonathan. I hate myself for it, but I feel such pride in my discovery. I'm afraid I just can't help it.
Which is?
He did serve William Marshall. And yes, the blood he covets as a token does truly belong to that legendary knight. But he was never his progeny. His lineage is not so noble.
Goodbye for now, Elizabeth.
Goodbye, my dear. Please, be careful.
Always a pleasure to see you, sir.
It looks like vampires have to obey Mendel's laws when producing progeny. Powers pass from one generation to another. That's why Dawson wants me to sire him.
Women of all countries unite!
It's a leech! Kill him! He's done for! Christ, he's dead! Over there! There's one of them vermin!
A restaurant where the guests are blindfolded before being seated. Intriguing. It's locked, all right. I should find another way to get into the neighborhood. It's locked, all right. I think this passage could lead me close to Aloysius Dawson's mansion.
Stupid newborn! You're bleeding out! Don't you know better?
I have this thirst for blood. Despicable.
perhaps London will survive the epidemic, but I see terrible
locked.
trials awaiting in the future. Jonathan Reed. At last we meet. The cards warned me you would visit tonight.
I beg your pardon, sir. Do I know you?
Of course you do. Our mutual friend, Dr. Swansea, can't speak highly enough of you. My name is Usher. Usher Talltree.
You are the leader of the Brotherhood, are you not?
Primate of the Brotherhood of St. Paul's Stole, to be precise. I'm really glad we met tonight. I love it when the cards tell me a truth.
The cards told you to expect me.
Yes, they can tell me everything. They told me that you have not taken another life since your poor sister died.
What can you tell me about the neighborhood?
I really don't know. I don't often go outside. And when I do, it's usually to quite distant destinations.
So you see nothing in the stars for me? You're a poor fortune teller, then?
Oh, I can tell you many things, but they will only concern you, not the city. For example, I know that you offered your sister the final rest she asked for.
Do the cards speak of my Mary?
No. It's the burning aura of guilt that precedes you everywhere you go.
Read my fortune, then.
You have been chosen, Jonathan. I see on you the mark of a strong being, so powerful it needn't even reveal its strength.
Can you read the cards for me?
Are you sure you want to know what they will reveal?
Yes, I am.
It will cost you 150 shillings.
Here is the money.
Love. Pure and unseen. Untold. The two hearts love each other without knowing it. Without daring to admit it.
Can you read the cards?
Put the money on the table.
Here is the money.
The mother. A suffering soul. Ashamed of her silence. Terrified to raise her voice. A son to be killed.
Tell me about yourself. What do you do here, besides turning cards in the middle of the night?
I'm for most a charlatan. For a few, I'm a vampire. And for you, I'm the primate of St. Paul's Stole.
Some believe you to be a vampire. Who?
The Guard of Priwen, who else? For a time, they sent spies to observe my activities, and they even broke into my home to gather proof.
Did they steal anything from you?
A personal notebook they quickly took to their headquarters. All they had to do is to look at me. I'm aging. What better and definite proof that I'm not an immortal?
Do you want your notebook back?
If you ever find it, I'd be glad to have it back, of course. I do ask one thing, though. Do not read it, Jonathan. Some secrets are not meant to be revealed, even to immortals.
For how long have you been a primate?
It was 15 years last year.
What do you make of Dr. Swansea?
Edgar is a brilliant and dedicated man. A man of his time. Sometimes a little muddled, but always looking for new paths and new concepts.
How do you measure the amount of blood on my hands?
I told you. The cards always tell the truth. Well, most of the time.
Is it possible to tell me my future?
A vampire's fate is much more delicate to read, Doctor. But I can try.
I would rather not know. How...
I told you.
Is it possible?
A vampire...
All right. Let me hear it.
You're on a path to redemption, Jonathan. But be careful. One single trip and you'll fall.
That doesn't sound promising.
Take this, young Ekon, as a personal reward for your strong will. Keep following the right path and you'll reach safety.
How did you learn about Mary? And spare me the hocus-pocus parlor tricks. The truth, now!
Swansea told me. Don't look at me like that. His task is to observe and gather information about vampires. He had to tell me about Mary.
She could have survived as a vampire. If only she had given me a chance to explain. If only I could have found the words.
Not all vampires accept their new condition. Since suicide is impossible, you have to find a way to get someone else to relieve the pain.
I could have saved her.
No, Jonathan.
May I ask you about the Brotherhood?
Of course. But I must warn you that there are some subjects we consider taboo, in spite of our fondness and acceptance of your kind.
I know there is no love lost between the Guard of Priwen and the Brotherhood. What caused this rift?
It was 1801. The Brotherhood was stronger then, a strength that made them hungry for ever greater power. An argument divided them, and the wound never healed.
What was the nature of the disagreement?
The problem was that both sides considered themselves the legitimate heirs of the original Brotherhood. We divide up the books, the relics, not always fairly or with consideration.
Who founded the Brotherhood?
That's precisely the kind of question I cannot answer. It is delicate, and may reveal some of our secret traditions.
So you're not just a club of academics and scholars?
Once upon a time, very long ago, the Brotherhood did more than simply study the vampires. They took actions to eliminate the more ferocious and corrupted.
Is there anything you could tell me about Aloysius Dawson?
Aloysius Dawson? Yes, of course. We met on several occasions. With time, he got deeper and deeper into the occult.
He's not the only one. It's been quite the fashion for several decades. The Golden Dawn, for instance, is just one example.
True. Aloysius was a member of the Golden Dawn until 1900. Then his thirst for dark knowledge grew. I'm talking forbidden texts, readings which blackened his heart.
Goodbye, sir. Until we meet again.
I rarely wander, yet it amuses me to converse with your kind. A red river, a song in the dark, the whispers of a sun. So many signs to interpret.
Good evening, sir. I am Dr. Jonathan Reed. Do you need my help?
Yes, please. Would you be kind enough to tell me what the time is?
That's all you need to know.
Well, is it not important to know? As important as where you are? Or who you are?
I suppose you're right. And who are you then, sir?
I am Agamemnon Baker. Like my brother, I think we need to leave this city immediately. And my brother and I rarely agree on anything.
May I ask what you're doing outside at this hour of night?
I don't know. You should ask my brother instead. It was his idea in the first place.
You must have your own ideas.
From what I have managed to understand, I guess we're supposed to wait here. Waiting for someone to come.
What can you tell me about this part of town?
It's the only place I've considered myself happy. Or at least that's what I believe. Unfortunately, it's time to leave.
Why is that?
Because I'm not feeling happy here anymore. Are you?
What kind of question is that? What am I supposed to answer, exactly?
The truth. And I believe you just did it, actually.
May I ask why you've not gone already, if you're so exasperated by this long wait?
I believe fear is holding us back. My brother would have said it's laziness, but it's just because he's prouder than I am.
What can you tell me about your brother?
He's older than me, I think. But the important thing is that I really hope I'll die before him. Grief would just kill me, you know?
Is that all?
Pericles is very attached to this city, and without my insistence, he would never leave this place. We don't often agree on anything, you see.
Who are you waiting for, exactly?
The more I think about it, the more I believe it's not exactly a person we are waiting for.
But what else could it be, then?
I don't know. A feeling? An event? An impulse? How can I tell? Something that would allow us to leave this trap.
I'm afraid I'm not following you. What kind of trap are you talking about?
Have you ever felt like life trapped you in a role that does not fit you? That you are not in your place? That sort of trap.
Trap? And you think leaving London will free you?
At least it will give us the chance to be free. That's more than our present situation. Hope, Doctor. Hope is what truly drives mankind.
What can you tell me about Aloysius Dawson?
You should ask that question to my brother instead. Personally, I've not seen Aloysius for many years.
Goodbye for now, Mr. Baker. Good evening, sir. I'm Dr. Reed. Can I be of assistance?
Dr. Reed? Dr. Reed?
Is there anything wrong?
No, it's just... your name sounds familiar. And your face. Have we met before?
I think I would remember. So I suppose the answer is no.
That's odd. I'm certain I've already heard of you. My name is Pericles Baker. Does that mean anything to you?
I'm afraid not, sir. But it's a pleasure to meet you anyway.
The pleasure is mine, I guess. I only wish I could remember when it was that we met.
Tell me about yourself, Mr. Baker. What are you doing out here in the middle of the night?
We are waiting. Waiting for someone.
And why are you waiting for this person?
Because we need to leave this city. As soon as possible.
Why do you want to leave the city?
I'm not really sure.
Can you tell me anything about this district?
As you like asking questions so much, would you allow me to ask you one first?
Please, be my guest.
Do you like this city?
No, I don't. I don't recognize it anymore. Or perhaps I just don't like it anymore, now that I've seen its true face.
I don't recognize it either. Or at least what it's become. Hate, violence, social disparity. And I am not talking about the criminality these days.
And what do you do, sir? For a living, that is.
I stopped working when I decided to leave. When I realized what I wanted. Wanted something this city can't provide.
But what were you doing before you took this decision?
Does it really matter anymore? Considering the past seems so pointless to me. I have lived in this city all my life. And now I think it's over.
Tell me more about why you want to leave London, then.
I just don't belong here anymore. I had to convince my brother to leave London because I know we need to find another life out of the city.
Pericles, tell me why your brother disagrees with your presence here.
Agamemnon is naive sometimes. Although don't consider him a fool, sir. He is often more lucid than me.
At least you both have the same difficulty explaining what you're doing, and for what reason.
But is that not a common problem for all mortals?
What can you tell me about your brother?
If you are searching for a pleasant chat, you should speak with him instead of wasting your time with me. He has always been the more gentle of us.
That's it? That's all you can tell me about him?
For the time being, true kindness is the most valuable quality, my good sir.
Who are you waiting for? I'm sure he has a name.
I really can't answer that question, since I don't know that person.
And why is that?
This person is mostly my brother's acquaintance. I don't even know his real name. Only that this man could help us leave this city once and for all.
But why would you need this person's help to leave London anyway?
Well, I thought we should have left this cursed place already, but my brother convinced me to stay a while longer, and here we are.
What can you tell me about Aloysius Dawson?
I've heard this is a man who has searched for his place in the world for a long time. I hope he found it.
Goodbye, Mr.
Hello again.
Goodbye.
Good evening, sir. May I ask you what you're doing here at this late hour?
I'm conducting an investigation about the epidemic in this part of town.
And who are you, sir?
I'm Dr. Jonathan Reed from the Pembroke Hospital. May I ask who you are and why all the questions?
I'm Detective Inspector Charles Albright from Scotland Yard. And I don't find your answers convincing. What is a Pembroke doctor doing in the West End at this time of night?
I work for the Ascalon Club. Here is my permit to go freely about the city.
The Ascalon Club? You should have said so, sir. I must warn you, these streets are dangerous, and you'd better be careful.
What can you tell me about this district?
I'm the one asking questions, especially when there's a killer on the loose.
What killer?
I'm not going to discuss that with a civilian, sir.
Haven't I told you about the investigation I'm conducting? Perhaps I could help you.
All right, without giving you too much information, I'll tell you this. I'm convinced there is a homicidal maniac on the loose, using the epidemic to disguise his kills.
And what about the epidemic?
We both know the situation is critical, don't we, Doctor?
Colleagues of mine die almost every day.
What are you really doing here?
I told you. I'm a detective inspector from Scotland Yard, investigating suspicious cases in the area.
Do you work alone?
Yes. The situation is difficult for the police. Many of us are sick, and since the summer strike, most men apply a work to rule on their patrols.
What about the situation in the East End? Why are there no police there to protect the civilians?
I know, it's a shame, but we just don't have enough men to cover the entire city.
Why are you investigating at night?
Criminals rarely act in daylight, you know. But since you are also a night worker, have you noticed anything strange which requires police attention?
I'd like to report a name, Inspector. Jeffrey McCullum. I'm afraid he's some sort of vigilante, trying to recruit an army of angry citizens.
Then I'll write the name down and transmit this intelligence to the appropriate office. Thank you, sir.
Why are you...
Criminal.
I'd like to
Then I'll write the...
Tell me all you know about that homicidal maniac you're looking for.
I'm not even sure there is only one. The wounds are always the same, but the modus operandi varies. Sometimes violent and brutal, sometimes precise and swift.
How could different killers inflict the same wounds?
That's my main problem. If my theory is correct, maybe we're facing a group of individuals sharing the same violent tendencies. Perhaps a sadist cult.
What are you investigating, exactly?
Well, my 2 missing persons cases have been solved. By you, it seems. Are you just that lucky? Or do you know something I don't?
I was lucky enough to find them both while conducting my investigation in this part of town.
Why do I still have the feeling that you're hiding something? What about the abductor? Was it the same person?
I don't think so. You had better interview Miss Teasdale and Mr. Kimura on that matter. All I did was to lead them safely home. Do you know anything in particular about a man called Aloysius Dawson?
Who doesn't know the man? I think he intervened personally to put an end to the police strike of last August.
What else can you tell me about him?
Aloysius Dawson is exactly the kind of powerful and influential man who could commit murder and get away with it, with just one phone call.
Goodbye, Detective Inspector Albright.
Goodbye, Dr. Jonathan Reed. I'm sure we'll talk again soon.
I hope you can stay a little longer this time.
Good evening, Miss Price. How are you tonight?
Dr. Reed, I didn't know you had returned from the war. I had a new doctor when you left, but he's not as kind as you.
Always glad to see a former patient in good condition. It's been a long time.
Too long indeed. And as a token of my appreciation, I'll grant you the best price if you fancy buying anything from my humble shop.
May I?
It's always a pleasure to have you here.
Good evening.
You know...
What can you tell me about yourself, Miss Price?
I'm still managing my shop. The only difference is, since the quarantine, we're open at night. You on the contrary, seem to have changed a lot.
Really? Have I changed that much? It must have been the war and the night shifts since my return.
Don't get me wrong, Dr. Reed, you're still handsome. Just maybe a little bit wiser, more serious. It suits you well.
Tell me more about yourself. No new fiancé? I remember you were hoping to get remarried. I'm sure you must have a few suitors.
Who would marry an old bat like myself with a grown daughter and a little business? As you know, I only fancy handsome men like yourself.
Have you noticed anything in particular in this part of town recently?
Other than you coming back to cheer me up? Nothing at all, Dr. Reed.
Does your daughter still worry you, Miss Price? I remember you were often concerned about her health when she was younger.
Have you not seen Carol since you returned? She's almost a young woman now. But she'll always remain my sweet little baby.
So you're less afraid?
Some things never change. Carol is still too clumsy for her own good. Sometimes her innocence puts her in real danger.
Why would her innocence put her in danger?
She does not realize how cruel life can be. Maybe I was a bad mother to protect her too much. My poor dear Carol.
You have every reason to be cautious, Miss Price. Especially in these difficult times.
Maybe you could talk with her, Dr. Reed. It would be nice to have a man here more often. We would both feel safer.
Do you know Aloysius Dawson?
Everybody knows him. He's only been to my shop once, though, looking for rare books and other intriguing antiques.
Did he buy something from you?
No, he left quickly. He almost laughed at my goods. Mr. Dawson may be a rich man, but you can't buy good manners.
But isn't Aloysius Dawson known for his philanthropy?
That was before his brother Robert died in an aeroplane crash. Since then, the remaining twin has turned into a heartless tycoon.
Goodbye for now, Miss Price.
I hope you can stay a little longer this time.
Good evening, Miss Price. I'm Dr. Reed. Do you remember me?
Dr. Reed? Yes, of course. You are the doctor who healed me and my mum. Good evening, Dr. Reed.
Good to see you too, Carol. Are you all right?
Oh, yes. I did not hurt myself recently. I know how to take care of myself now. I'm almost a grown-up.
Why are you awake at night, Carol?
I am helping my mother in her shop. It's not easy, but I'm a grown-up now.
I'm sure your mother is grateful for your help.
I do the best I can. But I'm so clumsy sometimes. I drop things. I injure myself. It's a good thing my mother has the patience of an angel.
Why is work not easy? Is something or someone bothering you?
Oh no, most people are gentle with me. But I'm so nervous sometimes. I pay no attention and hurt myself. Good thing my mum learned first aid.
What can you tell me of the people living nearby?
I don't speak to many people, except our customers. It's not easy to make friends. And with the epidemic, it's even more difficult.
What can you tell me about the epidemic?
Some of our regular customers have left London. Some others only send their housemaids now. Everybody fears the contagion. I've even seen men with weapons.
Have you no friends at all?
No. Mr. Nithercote used to pass by and was always nice to me.
Does he not come by anymore?
No. Mum said he was weird. always reciting poetry about a girl he'd met in Whitechapel. I wonder who this Camellia may be.
Do you enjoy working with your mother?
Oh yes, Doctor. My mother raised me alone after my father died. We've always lived together, and she has always watched over me.
Do you remember your father?
No, I was just a baby then. My mother always told me how strong and good he was.
Do you ever think about getting married now you're a woman?
Oh no, Dr. Reed. Mum always says I'm still a child who has no idea how tough life can be. No husband would like a clumsy girl like me.
Have you ever met the famous Aloysius Dawson?
Yes, a very strange man, not very nice.
What do you mean?
He said he was ready to pay good money for rare books, and then laughed at what we showed him.
Goodbye, Carol.
Good morning. Good evening, sir.
I hope you can stay a little longer.
Dawson's mansion. Here I am at last. But the question remains, am I ready to make a dying man my progeny? Reduced in rank for falsely accusing a man of murder. I wonder what Inspector Albright thinks about his punishment. It's locked, all right.
Finally you're here, Dr. Reed. What took you so long?
I had to pass several of your barricades and outposts to access your mansion, sir.
Death, pestilence surround us, and time is against me.
I see you've gathered some of the most expensive, albeit experimental, blood transfusion equipment available. All this could be so useful in a hospital.
Yes, yes. Since Lord Redgrave sent me a doctor to perform my conversion, I thought you might find some of these devices useful.
Most thoughtful. But tonight I'm not here as a physician.
But I feel reassured that a specialist such as yourself would help me to escape the Reaper.
Very well. But before I proceed, I have a few questions for you.
If you must, but be quick, for I don't have much time left in this life.
First of all, I need to be sure that you know exactly what is going to happen to you, sir.
I can assure you I'm as informed as any man can be. I have planned for this moment, Dr. Reed. Planned very carefully.
Sir, I'm going to end your life. Do you not wish to discuss the procedure for even a minute?
I don't have a minute to indulge in idle chatter. I can't feel my legs. And the cold, so cold.
I will become your maker. Do you understand what that means?
Well, I certainly won't consider you my liege, or some such drivel. You can be assured of that.
You'll need to feed on warm blood. Blood from mortals. How do you feel about that?
I'm rich, Dr. Reed, and powerful. I'm sure I'll be able to acquire all the blood I need without ever having to sully my own hands.
What do you know about the Guard of Priwen?
What I do know is that I'll crush anyone or anything that would dare to oppose me.
Let's move on, then.
Please, I'm cold and tired. I feel my life waning with every moment.
But first, before you embrace immortality, what would you do with such a gift?
That's a rather impertinent question, Dr. Reed, and I will do as I please.
Answer me all the same. What will your first action be as an immortal?
To save London. I will finance the most efficient quarantine ever seen. I will build a wall that will separate the sick boroughs from the healthy ones.
Who gave you the right to decide the fate of thousands of people?
My money. My money and my pending immortality gives me the needed authority, Doctor. I'm a businessman. I'm used to tough decisions.
You really plan to build a quarantine wall across London?
Yes, it will be tall and strong, separating the wheat from the chaff.
By doing so, you will also create 2 separate prisons.
Come, sir. An eminent doctor like yourself knows that such radical measures have proved efficient in the past.
Let me guess. You mean to isolate the rich from the poor?
This is a desperate measure for desperate times. England must prevail, Doctor, no matter the cost.
Quarantine is not a bad idea, medically speaking. But I'm convinced this epidemic will not be contained by mere walls.
As long as the right people are on the right side of the wall, that's all that matters.
But you can't guarantee infection will not spread. Just one contagious carrier would be enough to create an apocalypse.
The apocalypse is already knocking at the gate. We must be strong now.
What if a new outbreak happens inside your walls? You'll have created a giant trap.
That won't happen. As long as we dispose of anyone that is contaminated as soon as they are spotted.
I've heard enough. It's time to proceed.
At last. All right, do what you have to do. If it hurts, so be it. I've been preparing such a long time for this.
Listen to me, Aloysius Dawson. You will forget your fear of dying, for it has poisoned your mind and made you bitter and ruthless since the death of your twin brother.
You don't understand. Death is oblivion, the eternal void. I know there's nothing there. I saw it in Robert's empty eyes. I saw myself in that coffin.
Death is painful for those who remain, not for those who have passed. All that occult gibberish you filled your head with has made you forget this simple truth.
No! Death will not claim me. I have the power and the money. I've acquired the arcane knowledge needed. I believe there is magic, there are dark forces. You will provide me my extension.
Your ignorance makes you a fool. You have no idea. Look at me. Hunted like a beast, my family lost, cursed. I have not escaped death, I have become it.
No, there must be a way. I don't want to go like my brother did. I have money, lots of money.
Money won't ease your mind. I know you used to be a good and generous man. So I offer you the gift of peace, Aloysius. The tranquility of a true death.
I accept your offer. And I understand. No more fear, I will die a man of dignity. And a man at peace.
It's locked, all right. It's locked. It's locked.
Is it done, Dr. Reed? Is Aloysius Dawson reborn, as expected?
I'm afraid Mr. Dawson finally chose to embrace life and death as a mortal.
What do you mean?
He has overcome his fear of dying. I let him rest and wait for death to come.
What? This is unacceptable. Go back there and make him the powerful Ekon he's destined to be.
No, Lord Redgrave. As a doctor and as an immortal, I can't. If you wish to make him your progeny, then proceed on your own.
This is an outrage beyond words. This is betrayal, pure and simple. I should kill you on the spot. You swore on William Marshall's blood.
Well, get rid of me then.
From now on, you're an outcast. Vanished. You are forbidden to ever appear in front of us again. Ascalon will smite you on sight, and your heart will be thrown to the rats.
I'll leave you then. Have fun with your puppets and shadow plays, Lord Redgrave.
Yes, go, traitor, and take that awful creature, that counterfeit of a woman I saw waiting for you, and be gone!
Step away, traitor. Return to your dubious friends and your decrepit hospital. Do not dare show yourself again, you or that monstrosity you bring to my door.